Well, here we are, live on The Voice. This is a little bit different because I'm playing host here. Typically, we'd have Pastor Moses leading the way, but he left me on my own. And I didn't know what to do on my own, so I figured to call in a friend.
Woo-woo.
I phoned a friend, and Leslie was kind enough to join me here as we substitute Pastor Moses' show for an infomercial about Rob Lawson for Harrisburg City Council. That was our plan today, was to discuss the campaign and what we can do to help the citizens of Harrisburg. And Pastor Moses, he has a feeling of wanting to help the Latino community in his heart. So I figured I'd call a friend of mine who has a good handle on the Latino community in Harrisburg, and Leslie is here to kind of help shape the conversation and make sure that I'm staying true to that principle and trying to help all of our citizens to make sure that we have a Harrisburg that works for all of us and not just a select few. So again, Leslie has also helped me with the campaign, so I want to thank her for the help that she's done there. She's brought a lot of order and stability to the campaign, which I definitely appreciate. So I want to make sure that it's said publicly that I appreciate the hard work that she's been putting into this, because I don't think we'd be where we are without you. So thank you very much for that.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for inviting me. And thank you for, this has been a big year that I've been getting involved in politics a little bit because, I like a lot of our brothers and sisters, we're a little bit overwhelmed and annoyed at the state of the world today. And so it's really hard to get involved and to have faith in the system again. And what brings me back to this work is the fact that these are local campaigns. These are local people. Before I was working on your campaign, I saw you at the gym. We were having these conversations, and you're a real person with a story, and I've gotten to know your story a little bit more. And like you said, having these conversations that are super important to everyday lives and continuing to have the conversation, right? It's not just one conversation. It's continuous. It's getting to know more people, getting to learn more spaces, getting to learn more needs, and really having the capacity to engage all that, So thanks to you for taking on that role and saying, no, I want to be that for this community. I'm looking forward to the conversation and the rest of the campaign and on May 20th. So it's an exciting time.
It is. Now, I'm not sure if I can be heard. I might be on mute.
No, you're good, sir. You're good.
I'm okay?
Yeah, there's a main mic.
All right. And you hear me, correct, Leslie?
Yes, I do.
All right. This is just me being a novice, so that's what happens.
No worries.
So we're learning on the fly here. So you spoke to some of the things of being some of the concerns that that you noticed in the communities, and just what are some of these concerns? What would an elected official need to do to make you feel safe and feel heard?
Yeah, and I think we were a part of an important discussion that we had at one of the local restaurants here on the Hill.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the biggest things right now is this problem with ICE that we're having. And, it's a national problem and it's a local problem. And I want to bring it to the forefront. Harrisburg police was in communication with ICE enforcement. And they say they weren't, and they were. And, the Latino community, Milpa, CASA, a lot of other organizations locally have been pushing to make Harrisburg a welcoming city and having the verbiage to do that, and what that means. So, I think that's one of the first steps is making sure that Harrisburg police and Harrisburg government is here for Harrisburg residents. And that's who they respond to first and foremost before anybody else. Are the residents in the local area, like you said, do they feel safe? Do they feel heard? Are they at the table? these are tax-paying residents. These are residents with small businesses that contribute to the local economy. These are residents with children that were born here. These are residents that have contributed to school taxes. And so, our priority and, as city council, city council's priority, should be Harrisburg, its local economy, its local people, and its safety. Um, but that it's a complex conversation. It's simple, but it's also complex. But there's so many people that are doing the work on the ground here. Jasmine Rivera is someone locally, along with, like I said, Milpa and Casa, who have been doing great work. So we're learning from them. We're learning from these people. How do you feel about this, Rob? Have you heard anything about, Harrisburg Police and ICE communication? I think we were talking about this a little bit ago.
I've heard what you've heard. So I've heard the official statement from the mayor that Harrisburg Police does not work with ICE, but then I've also seen reporting of agreements that were set together with ICE, let's say prior to the Trump administration, and there was nothing stating that we repealed these agreements, that we decided not to work with ICE anymore. And maybe at some point they thought that was a good idea, and maybe in not such a charged atmosphere. Fine, you said, hey, if we had someone who was committing a major crime and they were also wanted for deportation, violent crime, and not just there, and that was the case back then, that was one thing. Today's a different world. Right now, people are being targeted, and it's not a matter of saying, hey, we want to get rid of dangerous people. That's the cover. The cover is saying we want to get rid of dangerous people. In actuality, what ICE is doing and what we're seeing across the country is they're gathering anyone, whether you have here a violent criminal history, whether you have or a minor criminal history, or if you have let's say advocated for something that is not popular with the current administration, they say that you are also essentially a criminal, so they're removing you. Or even if you just happen to be at the wrong place, the wrong time, they're trying to remove you. We've had people who are undocumented who have been removed. We have people who have been documented that have been removed because of whatever the national administration believes was a misstep. And we've had people who are actually U.S. citizens through and through that have been removed via either mistakenly or they were just removed because they were thought of as being questionable. So right now we have to figure out a way to make our citizens feel safe. And if we're going to make them feel safe, I do believe we need to reinsert that Harrisburg will operate as a sanctuary city, as a city that's going to say we're not going to cooperate with ICE. And if you are feeling unsafe, if you're feeling that this could be a problem that you're going to have, we want to help you learn your rights, know your rights, and help you protect those rights. Right? There's a difference between letting someone learn their rights, letting someone know their rights, or helping them to protect their rights. As in saying, we will not allow the illegal search and seizure of someone's home. That's not something we're going to allow to happen. So if someone's coming to a house, they have to have a warrant. There's none of this knock on a door, let's see who's all inside. Probable cause is not justified by someone's ethnicity, and that's what we're seeing right now. They're going to look right now. They're looking at people. They're saying you look like you could be undocumented. So that gives me probable cause to give a shakedown. I don't want to see that, and that's not something that we can have happen. As I was going to say young black male, but you see the gray here. When I was a young black male, I remember police using my ethnicity as probable cause. I remember.
I was just about to say that. This is history repeating itself, and the Black and Latino community need to come together. All communities that have been oppressed and targeted, and been othered. We need to see that this is happening again and again. It's just a different target. It's just a different ethnic group. Like, and federally, there's things that the president and the administration can do, but really we need to focus on local environments, local safety, and local government. Sorry to interrupt your story, but I feel like it's so important to know that this has happened before. This is not new. It's not a new tactic.
It's not, and you're right, and the funny thing is they've done this all throughout history, at least within the U.S. So the easy way that they were able to get poor whites to sign on to slavery was letting them to know that, hey, you're not like the blacks that we have in chains. You're of a better class than them. So this last election, they really reached out to the black and community and basically started trying to drive a wedge, and also the Latin community too, because you heard this from people in the Latin community saying about people who were here illegally, come the right way like I did. Basically what they did is they went through taking these groups and saying, hey, we want to pit you against this other group of people. And we want you to look at them as our common enemy, which they're not. They're our brothers and sisters. They're our neighbors. They're our friends. And, each person that's being targeted is an individual, actually more than an individual. They're a family, because once you affect one person, you affect their entire family and their entire community.
Yeah, so just to make it clear, Rob, you're in favor of making Harrisburg a welcoming city.
Absolutely. I want to make sure that it's a welcoming city for everyone, that everyone that walks in our city limits feels protected, feels respected, and knows that they have a place here. We want to invite more people to this city so that we can grow our diversity. We know that our diversity is our strength, that we are now an international city. When I was a kid, that wasn't the case, but right now we are an international city.
Yeah, we are.
And that means we're getting the best and the brightest from all over the world that are coming and making this city their home. And we want to make sure that the best and the brightest that are doing that know that they have a safe home, that they're not going to be targeted regardless of their status. They're going to be able to find a place where they can thrive, they can work, they can start a business, they can raise a family, and they can help keep Harrisburg this wonderful jewel of Pennsylvania that it is.
Yeah, literally. And like you said, I mean, this has also been a concern for, in a lot of candidate forums. We've seen the question of like, what are we going to do to revitalize downtown? How are we going to get the local economy back up? And not only are Latinos a majority of the business owners here, like we see a lot of Black and Latino businesses in Harrisburg and Allison Hill. The restaurant row on Dairy Street in Allison Hill is booming with Latino flavors. We have downtown's restaurant row. So, it's really important to talk about the small business economy that is amazing here, and how to keep those dollars here, and how to keep it booming, and how to make it more sustainable to start a business here.
Absolutely. And speaking of Pastor Moses, who's not here, last week he took me around some of these great businesses that you were talking about. You've also introduced me to some great businesses on the Hill. And
yes,
what I found, or at least what he's told me, is a lot of these business owners, they started their investment here in the city, but they started moving out of the city because they didn't feel the support. We got to change that. We need to reverse that. We need to make sure that our small business owners feel that support, and so that they're moving into the city and they're investing more money into the city and into our neighborhoods. And I love what's happening with the Hill right now. We need to highlight that more than we have. Right now, it's a beautiful, diverse place, and we have some great restaurants, some great small businesses that have been opening up, and we need to highlight that at a higher level, similar to what they've done downtown. Just bring it over here to the Hill. And then we also have great even like Haitian and African restaurants
Yes.
and businesses that are opening that need to be highlighted as well.
Heck
Um,
yeah.
yeah, man, we are an international city and we don't act it. We need to
Yeah.
make sure that we show that, yeah, we have people from all over the world. Our flavors now are mixed from all over the world.
Yeah.
And I think that will draw people in, right?
Exactly.
Um, when people see that it's an international city, they start to show up. They start to come in to try to get a sense of what's there because it's exciting. It's not like just a small city. We are really a world city and a capital.
Yeah, literally. I mean, and like you said, that will attract more people in here. Harrisburg needs to be this attractive place. And we have the river that's beautiful. We have City Island that's beautiful. So, I mean, it's a long-term complex problem that will require a long-term complex solution. But with the local administration working together, and residents working together, you're a big person. I've always heard you say, like, there's organizations that are already doing this work. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. I don't need to go out there and create a new organization that's going to do this. There's already organizations that are doing the work. How do we support them? And how do we make sure that the work continues? And that's what Harrisburg is. There's so many people doing the work. How do we then continue to support and make this sustainable, and to keep it going? Harrisburg is really, really, really a hidden gem. It really is a hidden gem.
It is, and when I see a lot of these like nonprofits and businesses that are doing some of the work that we're discussing, I think some of the
Yeah,
problem that they have is that they're not supported by the city, at least not enough. So what happens then is we start developing our silos, and
right.
now said nonprofit or said small business that's doing the work doesn't want to work with other small business or nonprofit because they are fighting for like what they believe are scarce resources, and that's
Yes.
because they're not being properly supported. If we properly support them, we can now start collaborating a little bit more and making that work visible. That stuff will start to tear down the crime that we see in the city. We have a lot of homicides that have been happening. You, of course, have theft, and we have, let's say, property crimes, the like of that. Supporting these nonprofits who are fighting that fight already will help
Right.
diminish that other stuff and will make it so that the city doesn't have to worry about it as much because the people will be taking care of it.
Right.
It's not a quick fix. It doesn't happen tomorrow, but when we provide
Right.
that support, we create the foundation that it does carry on to the future. So,
Yeah.
so that's why I think we have to support the people that are already doing the hard work out there.
I think it only makes sense to have that perspective. If we want to move forward, it's a collaboration between people who've been doing this for a long time, also combined with youthful, new, and novice energy and perspectives. Also, there's a relationship between the government and nonprofits, and for profit companies too, and community organizers and artists like me. And how do we make sure that we create spaces for all of us to work together? And Rob, before I hop off, um, I always say this about you. You were appointed on city council when there was a vacancy. I think you were on there for how long?
1 year.
For 1 year. And I think it just shows to your credibility. Like, the other city council members elected to have you on there to fill that position. And that, for me, when I found that out, I'm like, okay, so this means that this man is known and respected, and has done stuff that city council thought would be a great asset. And then while you were on there, you introduced some new ideas. And I feel like this candidacy, like you running again, is saying the job wasn't done. 1 year wasn't enough. And I appreciate how much I've been getting to know you and your campaign and your life and your passion and your work. So Yeah, thanks for inviting me on today and be able to toot your horn, but then also toot Harrisburg's horn at the same time. Because yeah, I've been community organizing. I'm an artist here. I'm an entrepreneur, and I've been working with. I've worked with so many different people, organizations, companies, and I know the power that Harrisburg has. It's coming together. You know, like you said, it's not going to happen tomorrow, but with the right people in place and the right people supported, I think this is it. If not now, then when?
Right, right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Leslie. It was really a pleasure talking to you. Again, I'm a little bit jealous because I see blue skies behind you, and it looks like it's the perfect weather. You know, you're not shivering. You know, we have your arms exposed, and you're not shivering outside, so it must mean it's great weather. Yes, enjoy it. Thank you so much for everything you've done to help with the campaign, and thank you so much for hopping on for just a little bit to just discuss some of our topics, and it's really appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Everybody vote on May 20th.
Yes, yes,
Bye,
please.
everybody.
Bye bye. So, absolutely, we need to have everyone out to vote May 20th, and hopefully you'll vote Rob Lawson when you do that. Um, so, Leslie brought up a couple points that I do want to put a little bit more emphasis on. She was saying about herself being an entrepreneur and being an artist. We need to support one, the small businesses, entrepreneurs, people that are out there to take that risk, that step to go out and start a small business. And if it's a business that's going to benefit our city, we need to be behind it, because that's the real economy, right? Our real economy is the small business, not the large business. The small business is the one that are supporting all of our youth baseball leagues. They're supporting the kids in dance school. They're supporting the school fundraisers. That's the small business. Those are the guys that stand behind it. And our artists. We have to support our artists. If we want to see a city that looks like it's on the move, that's thriving, we have to have a thriving art scene. And it has to be visible. It can't just be behind galleries. We have to have that art out there, similar to what you see now with that Sprocket Mural Works. It's beautiful. I love what they have going on. I'd like to see more sculptures within the city, and I'd like to see more murals in different spots of our city all the way around. I want it to be something that's beautiful and breathtaking as you walk around. A thought that I would have is homes that are owned by the city and our redevelopment authority, you know, we can make those canvases, you know, because we have homes throughout the city that are blighted, vacant, sitting there. We, you know, until we get these things fixed and ready to go, we can have that become a canvas for our artists. And we are putting together great street scenes with our Vision Zero project. You know, why don't we incorporate some art into that, you know, throughout the city, so that again, it's beautifying our areas and it's not a heavy lift. You know, we have the artists here. I've met several of them, and they're great, they're amazing, and they have the talent to make a change in our city. So if we support them and utilize them, that will help us get closer to that goal of making a more beautiful, more walkable city. Those are some things that I think that we really need to iterate into our plans and into our being here in Harrisburg. And another thing that I've been talking about for a while, and I've touched base with several times, would be housing and how I think that's tied into everything that we do. When I ran for city council before, I had something which I called my Buy Back the Block program. Essentially, the naming may have changed a little bit, but the idea was, and why I said buy back the block, is because I wanted to make this a community-led initiative. That the city should supply homes that are on our redevelopment authority's list, homes that we own, that we could offer to citizens to buy for $1. But you can't do anything with a blighted house that you bought for $1. we would have to make sure that we provided you with the means to finance that home for the renovations, or if it's a lot, or if it's a tear down, the rebuilding, and also helping you with the regular monthly payment, making sure that that house is affordable to you. So I pitched a partnership with an organization called NACA, who would provide the financing for these properties to people with low to moderate income. The interest rates would be below market, and they have no minimum credit score, meaning that you have second chance financing. Basically, they call it character lending, where if you can explain what's going on in your life and why you're in a situation and how you'll get better, they will provide you a loan. And also the means to help you fix those areas of your credit. And then they also are very in tune with what your affordability is, whether you could take a larger mortgage or it has to be a smaller mortgage. They look into all of this. And they're willing to work with people that are, again, very low income. One thing that they provided that I had a conversation about earlier is you can use Section 8 to finance your home. If you're on Section 8, you can buy a home in Harrisburg under my program. So it's not a situation that we're looking at people who are just the well-to-do to use this. We're looking at something that's available to every one of our citizens, and it's going to be a way to help us improve the city. One, the redevelopment authority homes, for the most part, are blighted houses. Houses that are a nuisance to neighborhoods. Houses that seem to invite crime. We got to get this stuff fixed. The city can't afford to fix them all. They just can't. We don't have the money to do all of it. But when we partner with an outside lender, NACA's one of the lenders. Fulton has a program that does something very similar, and I believe PHFA does as well. So we have several lenders that would help this situation. They provide the money to fix up the houses. We provide the people. There are residents. We're looking for people that are currently living in the neighborhoods that want to do something different, that want to get out of the rental cycle, get out of working with problem landlords, get out of homes that are unsafe, unaffordable. We want to make sure that we get you in a situation that is affordable, that is safe, and is sustainable. That is how we get rid of the blighted houses in our city. Getting rid of the blighted houses will also help us with removing crime. People take as much pride in their neighborhood as is being shown. And when you have a lot of torn down houses or falling down houses, it's really hard to get someone to say, I want to respect this neighborhood when they pull into it. Well, if I'm a kid and I want to just mess around in something, if it looks like it's already messed up, it's easy for me to do it. It's very tough for me to want to mess around with things when I walk into a neighborhood and everything's up to snuff, everything looks as it should. And also, the people that live there aren't going to allow you to do it either. They're going to see you and they're going to stop you from doing that. So getting rid of the blight gets rid of a lot of the crime that we see. And we've been experiencing so much crime in the city the last few years, and it seems like it's just rising. And it's not going to take a quick fix to stop it. The answer is not having. It's not. I say not just having. You may need to expand some police presence for a little bit, but I don't. I think that's a temporary thing, and I don't think that's the way to go. I think that's just, you want police presence to deter, but we have to fix the actual problem and not just hide it or chase it somewhere else. We have to start doing that. And the last step of this program, my Buy Back the Block, the Dollar House program, is we want contractors working on these houses that are from the city. We want to promote our small, Harrisburg-based, black, brown, women-owned businesses to renovate and build these houses. One, because they're living in the city, so that means we're spurring economic development within our city, which means that we are providing money for that small business again to support the baseball teams that we need, to support the school. I just heard that Harrisburg had the first musical in like 20 something years. We'd probably see more of that if they had more money coming from the community to support the arts program at the school. When we don't have arts in the school, again, we're perpetuating this problem that we had. We have to get things that kids want to get involved in, and the arts is a way to speak to kids, whether it's through acting, whether it's through singing, whether it's through rap, through sculpting, whether it's through video games, whatever. We have to find ways to attract the kids and get them into something before they get themselves into something. So by building up some of these businesses and providing economic opportunities, we're going to provide also more outlets for the kids. So it's one program, but it has so many facets once you really start digging into what we're looking at doing. So the last I was on, I was remiss to say that I brought this program up when I was on council. It didn't get very far, but one of your mayoral candidates, Lamont Jones, actually listened to me and he took it up. And he took it further with the council, and he got the redevelopment authority on board to say that, yeah, they're behind using this and doing this on a trial basis. I'm asking for your vote on May 20th so that I can make sure that momentum keeps going. We want to make sure it's implemented. We want to make sure it's implemented correctly, and we want to make sure it's implemented in a way that's going to be sustainable, so that this is a program that just happens. So that when a home falls in disrepair, that it becomes blighted, we start looking at it and looking at putting it on that program's list of a home that we can help people move into. As we get more homeowners in our city, we also alleviate the tax burden on the homeowners that we already have here. Yes, these properties that are on that list should have been generating tax revenue, but the people who own them, generally landlords that live from out of state, they came, they let the property fall in disrepair, and they let it go. So now it's not providing us any benefit. We want to get these properties back on the roll, provide some benefit, so that way the burden doesn't fall as heavily on the citizens that are paying for it now. So I need your help May 20th. I need you to vote Rob Lawson for Harrisburg City Council, and I will give you 4 years of making sure that we're providing economic stability, that we're providing access to the arts, and that we're providing a safe, clean neighborhood for all of our residents. And I guess what I'd ask is, if I'm not doing that, you let me know, and in 4 years you could decide not to vote me back. But my belief is that we're going to build this thing together, and we're going to make a Harrisburg that's fair for everyone, that we're going to bring people from living on the streets to living in the homes, and we're going to make Harrisburg a city that's safe, affordable, and again, the crown jewel of Pennsylvania in the nation. So guys, I want to thank you so much for everything that you have done for me. I want to thank you for just coming in and paying attention to this little show. And Pastor Moses, I hope that we did you okay, and that we kept the spot for you nice and warm. And when you come back from this emergency, I want to make sure that you feel that your show was in good hands. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. Rob Lawson, Harrisburg City Council. I look forward to seeing you May 20th. Thanks a lot.
Great job, guys.